Today's teaching assistants are both Lucky and Max. And they're already leaving us. Not my coffee. Okay. As we can see, sometimes it's really hard to cooperate with others. Today we're going to talk about some strategies for how we can better work together with others who are not exactly willing. So even though it feels like we're herding cats, it's actually still social work. So we're moving from teaching, learning to action and accompaniment. So you'll remember from last week we talked about how we really need to reframe assessment to be less deficit focused and more focused on people's strengths. Part of that involves considering how the organization that you work within can be examined within a more positive lens. And the other part is how the assessment tools used can also be reframed in a more positive lens. Within the evaluation of the organization, we might ask, what's your favorite memory of working here? What do you like best about your work? What part of your work are you most proud of? And what part of your work do you think your clients value most? Within the individual piece with our clients, we might ask them what makes a good day for you. What do you hope for at the start of a new day? What are you good at? What about yourself has given you confidence or made you proud? So as you can see, we really change from a problem-focused assessment approach to looking at people's strengths and how those strengths can then be used to create action and change. But we don't leave them to engage in this action by themselves. We engage in what's known as accompaniment. So with accompaniment, we engage in collaboration with the client. So we don't just impose an intervention upon them and say, do this and your life will be better. We work with them to engage in a common analysis of the problem and develop an equal relationship where together we decide on the next steps, on what actions we're going to take. There's a focus on the process, not just the end result, so that we actually get to the end result together, as opposed to expecting the client to do it on their own. So consider some examples of accompaniment in your own work. For instance, do you help clients participate in the interventions that you think might be the best fit for them? When you choose an intervention, do you do so in consultation with the client? Consider the language that you use when you're referring to the client and the issues that they're experiencing. Are you focusing on these issues as very individually focused or as part of a larger social and political areas of inequality? Another part of actually embracing the accompaniment role involves rethinking what social work is and what a social worker does. So a lot of the common social worker roles might be, mental health counselor, school counselor. However, that job title actually involves a lot of social work roles within it. Some of them are listed here. The textbook defines each of these in detail. For an example, for myself, I am your teacher, but I also learn from each of you. Your reflection papers and your analysis papers always give me a new way of looking at some issues that I've already looked into, but you all come at it with a fresh perspective. I'm also a facilitator when I prompt you to engage in discussions. I'm a researcher in issues related to family violence. And I'm very often an advocate for the issues that I do research on. consider your social work role within the current practicum setting that you are in, and consider how it aligns or does not align with some of these roles that I just listed. Which roles are missing and which roles could be included, and how would those, including those new roles, empower or improve the client service experience? So a lot of this has to do with how things are framed. So not just how the social work role is framed, but also how the organizing principles are framed. So how do people think about issues? How does your organization think about issues? Do they think about them from an individual problem perspective, or from a human rights focus or social justice focus? How do we get people to think about the issues in such ways that they will look beyond the individual to address it? And how do we get our organizations to do the same? So a lot of that involves taking risks in possibly failing. So it might mean challenging some of the policies that we have within our own organizations to ensure that they actually respect people's rights and don't subvert them or ignore them. It also means challenging legislation that might be coming at the federal level. So an example from my own practice in child protection work, at one point I was working with a family whose baby was going to be taken away as soon as it was born because the parents were, they had a variety of very severe risks that made them unable to parent. They agreed that they were unable to parent this baby and were willingly giving it up for adoption. However, they imposed a requirement that no LGBTQ parents were allowed to adopt a child. So the agency policy put the parents' rights and right to determine what kind of family the baby would have ahead of the rights of LGBTQ people to adopt. For me, it was very difficult situation because at the time I was too low in the hierarchy within my organization to challenge this policy. An example of a federal law, state law that is currently going to impact a lot of social workers in Florida is the Don't Say Gay bill that has been proposed. So what it does is it prohibits any discussion of LGBTQ sexuality or gender issues in the classroom, and it empowers parents to sue for violations. This doesn't just impact teachers, though. It also impacts school counselors because it mandates that school counselors have to out kids to their parents, even if it could place them at risk for abuse from their parents or to be rejected and thrown out of their families. It's a very problematic act that's due to be signed any day now, and once it comes into effect, it's going to impact a lot of school social workers and a lot of children. And the human rights of those children will be completely superseded by these supposed parental rights to determine what information a child gets at school. So in summary, engaging in action without accompaniment reinforces existing power imbalances. When we engage in accompaniment, we share our power with our clients and empower them to engage in change. We need to engage in an accompaniment by reframing what is recognized as a social work role. And we need to promote reframing and recognition of human rights within our work and our organizations. And that will include things like signing petitions against this new act and helping schools within Florida figure out how they can respond to the lawsuits that will be coming their way if they try to protect the rights of children.